Okay, video 2 for lesson 3-4 on slope intercept form. So we're going to look at another example or two of graphing linear equations. So what you'll see with this one is it's written in standard form. Now, in the future, moving ahead, if you want to graph this using x and y intercepts, that's probably the most efficient way to do it. But what I want to do with these next couple examples and with some of your homework is I want to give you some practice at shuffling things around to get it into slope intercept form. And that way, if you prefer graphing in slope intercept form, which surprisingly a lot of students do, then I can show you how to get it in that. All right? So what you want to recognize with slope intercept form is there's a few important things. First of all, y is by itself. All right, y is by itself. It's on one side of the equation. Secondly, y has a coefficient, all right, that doesn't show up that well, of 1. And not of -1. It has a coefficient of 1, positive 1. So y is really by itself. It's not only on the only side of the equation, but it doesn't have a number in front of it. So in order to get it to that form, we gotta move things around for that. So if you look at 2x or 3x plus 2y, probably the first place to start would be to subtract 3x from both sides. And I'm not stacking the minus 3x under the 6 because they don't combine. All right, so over here, those go away, and you're left with 2y equals, and then let's write this always with the variable first. So minus 3x plus 6. And then we're really close. The y term is by itself, but it has a coefficient of 2, and I want to have a coefficient of 1. So you do the opposite of whatever that coefficient is to get it to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide this side by 2, and then I'm going to divide this whole side here by 2. Okay? And so I'm going to rewrite this before we simplify it. So I'm going to write this as that, okay? And then the right side here I'm going to write as negative 3x over 2 plus 6 over 2. So we're breaking it up into terms, because when you have a denominator with just one term in it, and the numerator has multiple terms, it means that each term has that as a denominator. You just simplify it by writing it this way. But if you don't have a good grasp on fractions, you're probably not going to remember that. All right, so now let's simplify it. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. So that gives you y. And then we'll just leave this as negative 3/2 x. We'll put the x then on the outside of that, because you can do that. It can either be in the numerator or kind of even with the fraction bar line. And then 6 divided by 2 is 3. And so at this point, this is in slope intercept form. And I'll highlight my y-intercept, and then we'll highlight our slope so we know how to do this. All right, so first of all, y-intercept is 3, so go up to 3 and put a dot. And then if my slope is negative 3/2, I'm going to write it as negative 3 over 2, all right, which means you go down 3 over 2. So let's go to our point, and then go down 3, so that puts us at the origin, and then over 2, which puts us right here. Remember, you're always going over to the right. We covered that in the last video, but that's kind of like how it works. All right, and then you draw your line, put your arrows on, and you're good. All right, and if you notice, this gives you kind of the same thing as if you were to do this by x and y intercepts, right? But it's just another way of doing it, and I do find this a little surprising, but quite a few students actually prefer graphing using this way. All right, but it's got to be written in that form, so we had to move things around. So we're going to do another example of this. So I want you guys to pause the video and try this on your own, and then come back. Okay, so let's do this. We are going to get y by itself. So to do that, because it's written in standard form, to do that, I'll write this out, And then I'm going to start by subtracting 3x from both sides. And then that gives me negative 4y equals negative 3x. I love it when this thing glitches. Plus 12. All right, now I am going to divide both sides by negative 4 to get y with a coefficient of 1. And I put negative 4 right here. So my negative 4's will cancel, and I get y over here, and then I'm going to split this up so it's in two separate fractions like this. You just split this top up and make each one go over its own denominator of negative 4, whatever this is. All right? So negative 3 divided by negative 4 is just the same as positive 3/4. And then 12 divided by negative 4 is negative 3. So that's how we're getting from this to that right there. All right? So now find your y-intercept. Your y-intercept is negative 3, so go down to negative 3 and plot your point. And then I have a slope of 3/4. So because it's positive, that means we're going up 3 over 4. So if you go up 3, that puts you at the origin. Over 4 puts you right over here. And remember, when you're going over, you're always going over to the right. Okay, not to the left. All right, put my arrows on. And you are finished. All right, I am going to stop the video, and then we'll pick up at the next examples.